We are wired for detours. Not long ago, my wife and I decided to take a road trip. And we hopped on our motorcycle and we headed out into a beautiful day, and we traveled about 2 hours, and we came to the river that we had to cross. But there was a huge sign waiting for us, and it said, "Bridge closed, detour." That meant we had to ride another 20 miles upstream to find another bridge, which we did. And we crossed the bridge and we followed the path of the detour until we came to this little town called Pella. And Pella is a little Dutch town in the middle of Iowa. And we cruised into the square, and there was Dutch architecture, and there was a windmill, and there were tulip beds, and a Dutch bakery. We were famished, and we went into the bakery, and everyone was in period costume dress, and there was case after case of fresh baked pastries. But we stood frozen because of all the choices until finally a staff person came up to us and said, "Could we make some suggestions?" We said, "Suggestions, yes." We walked out of that bakery with a bag of pastries, and we went to the square, and we found a bench, and we sat down, and we consumed every last delectable morsel. And we turned to one another almost in unison and said, "If it weren't for the detour, we might never have found this place." But not every detour leaves you licking powdered sugar off your fingers. I volunteer in a homeless center in my community. And one night I was there, and there was a volunteer I didn't recognize, and so I struck up a conversation. She was a local principal in one of our high schools, and I asked her how she came to be here, and she said, "Well, my daughter had volunteered in this center all of her years of college, and then she had to go to grad school and move out of town, and she came to me and she said, 'Mom, I have to find a replacement.' And she said, 'Mom, you've got to step up.'" And so Mom stepped up. And she told me, she said, "I think I was prepared for just about anything until I came here and looked at the line of people filing into the center and saw 2 of my former students." It struck her to the core. She would never see a student or a homeless person the same again. And it catapulted her into kind of a quest to find solutions to this persistent problem. You see, that's what happens. Unexpected detours wrench us out of the structure of our worlds and push us over critical thresholds into unknown land, into the uncertainty that we've never faced before. We call that liminality. Liminality is that state of being in between, betwixt and between, neither here nor there. The path we came in on has washed away. The new path has not yet appeared. I have written, researched, taught liminality for over 20 years. And I've found one thing, and that is that some of the most amazing discoveries in life take place in the liminal detour zones. How does that happen? I have a student who works in the brain research laboratory in the university. And one of the things that they study is the response of the brain when new, unfamiliar, sometimes contradictory information is introduced. And what happens is the brain just glitches out. There's this micro moment, and the brain goes then around neural pathways that have been established and accesses old information, integrates it with new, and all in the effort to move forward. You see, the glitch is the thing. The glitch is the thing that enables everything after that to happen. Because we are wired for detours. I work with a program that trains Ukrainian mental health workers. And I was on a Zoom one time with one of the participants and our translator, and he told a story about one of his friends who moved into a new high-rise apartment building in Kyiv. And one day he came out of his apartment, got onto the elevator, and started going down. Power outage. The lights went out. No cell service. And he was stuck in that darkened elevator for 12 hours. He was discovered and he was rescued. But you learned some things in a darkened elevator for 12 hours. And one of the things you learn is you call a friend before you get on. And the second thing you learn is you call the same friend when you get off. And if they don't get that second call, send help. Now, that is profound learning in the liminal detour zone, which is why we should go to the kinds of places that detours take us to find what we need. So often, we look for future answers where we're standing now or where we used to stand, but our future answers aren't there. They're waiting for us on the other side of those profound thresholds. They're at the borders, edge, the overlap zones, the third spaces. There is where we will find the solutions to the thorniest problems that face our time, like homelessness or affordable housing or climate change. Think about savannas. A savanna is an ecological overlap zone between the forest and the prairie, and unique species grow and thrive there. If you're feeling stuck right now, consider going to the savannas of life to start finding your answers. And when you do, dare to set aside your master plan, whether it lives in your head or in your organization, because master plans, by and large, just keep us where we're already at because they were devised in the past. If we set them aside, then we create enough room for curiosity, innovation, a spirit of improvisation. Where do we begin? My challenge for you, whether you're an educator, an entrepreneur, a community leader, is to experiment with creating one creative project with someone who's outside your lines, in the in-between spaces, in the savannas, and see what you can find in that rich, fertile soil. We are wired for detours, and some of the most important things are found in those in-between spaces because, as Leonard Cohen said, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in.